Issue 16, Stormbringer magazine. And finally, we get some terrain. Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games. And today we're going to be doing issue 16 of our continuing series of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer. Now this is an interesting magazine because it brings in 6 pieces of terrain, and this is the first terrain we are going to get with this series. Now the issue itself is actually pretty a good one because it starts to elaborate an awful lot more on the lore. So there's less of an introduction to the actual game and the basics of painting, but more an actual kind of a way into the actual lore and the story and the kind of the universe that's there of the mortal realms. So of course it fixates on some of the monsters of the mortal realm of Gur with the Deadlands and the Arachnarok spiders. You have the second half of the story Spearhead. You have, which is an interesting little piece, which is just terms of life in the mortal realms. So kind of what it's like for ordinary people like you and me to be living in the middle of all this. You of course have some more information about the Chaos, the Crusaders of Order, the Children of Chaos, and the Disciples of Death. So kind of some of the elements that are at play above you as a poor rank and file normal guy trying to get by. These are the actual little pieces of terrain that you get in, and of course it goes into kind of rules, how to build, how to paint, things like that. And so the paint guide is okay. I wouldn't personally paint it blue like it recommends here, but if you do, that, of course, that's your choice. But they are actually really nice little pieces of terrain. Of course, it gives you some of the rules and how to kind of use cover, things like that. Some more kind of data sheets or war scrolls on the Vindicators and the Stormstrike Chariot. Of course, it goes into tutorials on the war scrolls, and of course the little mission here at the end, of course, where you have a Stormcast, a Cruel Boy, or a Draw victories. So the actual terrain itself is very nice. You get 6 different little pieces, and they're all very easy to build, but I have to say I was quite impressed with them because the square things here are very Giant Causeway. There's a place in the north of Ireland called Giant's Causeway where it's just kind of this type of rock formation, and we see it in kind of lots of different kind of fantasy kind of settings, things like that, but this gives the idea of a kind of the top of a mountain or kind of lava springs or something, because you've billows of smoke coming out from the ground here. So it's just a very interesting little piece of terrain. This was something that was very fun to paint because, as you can see, there's skulls and monsters and all sorts of things here. So it's a very kind of magical kind of idea of the realm of the mortal realms here. The next one, of course, you can see a bit more of what I'm talking about with Giant's Causeway here, with the kind of the interesting rock formations and the kind of the little bubbling kind of goo or ooze that's here. So I mean, even if you wanted to do a narrative game or even just kind of a bit of setting or decor, like this is just something, it's a small thing, but it adds so much to the tabletop. And of course it works as cover. So I mean, it's not just kind of pools and smoke, you also have kind of rock formation. So I mean, if you wanted to do a narrative campaign where this is a source of power or anything like that, it's something to kind of to fight over. It's kind of really cool, really fun little terrains, and you can even kind of say, if you're in a kind of a monster highlands, like this type of thing now is huge. This is the size of one of the minis, like, so this thing's head is literally as big as one of the figures that'll be fighting or that are at play here. And of course we have the little tentacle place here. So this is kind of like the Sarlacc pit in Star Wars. So if anyone gets a bit too close, I'm sure they're pretty much just snapped up and eaten or fed to whatever's in there as well. But again, the terrain is fun. Now this one came in lots of different little bits, so all these legs didn't come as one piece. You put them all together, so be a little bit careful when you're putting this one together. But nevertheless, it was a fun kind of horrible thing to do. My favorite, of course, is this one. So it's kind of like the dragon body, which was just, you know, this thing just stands out in the tabletop. It's obviously a dragon that's died, what, eons ago, I just did kind of a wraith bone. Now you could kind of weather it a little bit more like I did with the horns here on the rest of it, but I was happy for the pure white and the little contrast between the teeth and the bones and the rest of it going. But in terms of an issue, this is exceptional value for the price you get to get these little pieces of terrain. I mean, they're fun to paint. They're very different to paint, and they stand out quite nicely. So it was just a very good issue that's well worth picking up if you're only picking up this series intermittently, but very fun to paint, very easy to paint, and you know, it gives you a nice little bit of creativity. I mean, the little bubble thing here, of course, was all I did for this is I just put a bit of Tesseract Glow on top of a white base, and it gave me a nice little kind of green hue. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is issue 16. Join us for the next video, which will be issue 17. Until then, good luck, God bless, and praise Sigmar.